Let's get this going. 4 minutes late. You know how it is. Life. You know what? Maybe I'm just going to run around the temple this time. Because it's going to be cool. Anyways. Oh. I don't know. Is this... Did I get a link sent out on Facebook? Let me check something. Yep, it's on there. Oh, so how's it going, everybody? It's been 2 weeks. Oh, I can't remember what happened last week. I was somewhere doing a thing. I don't remember specifically what it was, but there was a reason why I couldn't be on. I'm trying to remember what it was. Ah, it ain't nothing. Anyway, let's just get started. Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. So I was originally, I had this one topic already planned out, and I decided I'm gonna switch it just because something happened, small thing, nothing major, but my brother was telling me of an instance that happened recently, and a thing that happens to me a lot. So, as many people know, I'm actually not a very outgoing, bubbly person. I'm not a positive person, I guess, let's put it that way. I'm not a big fan of what I consider fake happiness, fake energy, fake go-get-'em attitude. In fact, usually when I meet somebody who's just bubbly and energetic and off the wall, no, I wouldn't say off the walls, but somebody who is always looking on the bright side, I actually tend to distrust those people. At least more so than people who aren't like that. Simply because, you know, the first rule of Buddhist philosophy, the first rule of Buddhism, life is suffering. Life is hard. That's just a fact. We all know that. I know it. You know that. Everybody knows it. And I think I get the idea of hyper-positivity. You're trying to overcome that sadness, the depression, or I don't want to say the depression, but just the gloominess of it all. You're trying to overcome sorrow and everything like that by trying to be positive, you know? The problem with that I have is it feels so fake all the time. It feels so not legit. And I distrust people that I don't feel are honest. And so if you are extremely bubbly, you're extremely positive, I can't trust you because you're very obviously lying to me, and you're lying to yourself when you're trying to tell me that life is literally only what I make of it. Which, again, is kind of true to a point. I mean, your mindset and your views on things can change how you perceive a situation or how you deal with a situation. And a lot of times being more positive can help you overcome obstacles better. That being said, you can't be positive and happy all the time. It's just not going to happen. It's just a fact of life. We're going to be sad, we're going to be morose and melancholy and not in the best of spirits. And you know, for me, I like to think that I am a voice that's telling people that is okay. You can be sad and morose and melancholy and all these other buzzwords. I'm not going to blame anybody for being like that, especially considering how I am like that most of the time. Like, I remember, again, my brother telling me a situation where, you know, he went running, and he's been running, first time he was running in a long time. And heaven knows that I've been in a similar situation, where, you know, it was really hard, and he did it. And then he was at work, and he mentioned, "Oh man, yeah, I went running, and it was super rough." And this guy at work is just like, "Oh, no, it's not. That's only your mind telling you it's rough." And he just kind of looked at him and said, "No, what is it? What did he say?" "Oh, that's only your mind telling you it's bad. Your body's saying it's good." Had I been there, what I would have looked at him and said, actually, my dude, you have that flipped around. My body, my heart, my muscles, my lungs were all screaming, this hurts, don't do it, I don't like it, this is not fun. My mind is the only thing that pushes me to keep going in spite of those things. So my mind is saying yes, and my body is saying no. My mind is not saying no, my mind is saying yes. But I guess the point that I'm trying to get here is there are a lot of people that are like that. That are when you approach them and say, oh, how's it going? And you say, you know, I'm just doing my thing. Oh, well, you don't seem super, like, you're not super, I'm slipping into Japanese here. You don't seem super happy. It's like, well, I'm not particularly happy. You know, life is kind of tiring. I'm a little tired. Oh, well, you know, if you just change your mindset, you won't be so tired. Or you won't be so gloomy. I feel like you've been depressed recently. You just gotta get through it. And it's those people that I'm gonna look at and be like, no, okay, I'm gloomy, I'm sad, I'm not energetic and in a particularly good mood. And I can't just tell myself to not be that way. I mean, I could try faking it till I make it, but my experience is faking till you make it. Fake it till you make it just ends up leaving you more annoyed and more convinced that trying to be happy is just pointless and stupid. I just, when I'm feeling more, more down in the dumps, I guess you could say, I just let it roll. I just roll with it. I just lean into it, and then once it passes, which it does, it will always pass. It always passes. And it just, I get over it that way and move on. In fact, some could say that being sad is cause for celebration. I mean, you look at some of the most impressive works of art ever created, and a lot of them are based in, like, tragedy. Like, pretty much most notable things by Shakespeare were made... what the heck? Most notable things by Shakespeare that everybody knows, like Romeo and Juliet. I guess that doesn't really count as most, but you get the idea. Romeo and Juliet is a tragedy. A lot of the Greek epics are tragedies. Greek tragedies. Like, I mean, there's a reason that genre was particularly successful in ancient Greece, and even still today. Japanese literature is no less depressing. So, I don't know if I want to say it's necessarily cause for celebration. Because, I mean, you don't want to celebrate being sad, because you don't want to be sad all the time, because being sad and depressed means you're not doing anything, and it can wear on you, and it can deteriorate your health, and things like that. But at the same time, it's not good to vilify and demonize. What's the word? What do I want to call these things? We gotta go invent a word here for just not positive emotions. Or more, not subdued, but more melancholy. We'll just call it melancholy, okay? Melancholy, and when I say melancholy, I refer to, like, depression, well, not depression, not clinical depression, but those times when you are feeling depressed, or those times where you're just kind of tired and you're just not feeling it. We'll just call that melancholy, okay? So those times where you are feeling melancholy, you don't want to stay in there too long, because when you're feeling melancholic, you're not going to get stuff done, you're not going to make life better for yourself. You don't want to stew in it, You eventually want to get up and go. But that being said, you can't just, like, ignore it and pretend like it's not there. The effort you need to put to ignore your melancholy is often going to just tax you even more. And then you're going to be left with even less energy than you had. But again, don't shy away from it. Don't wallow in it, though. Just don't wallow in it. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry for a while. And then when you're done with it, just move on. I mean, I've been reading a lot of Buddhist literature lately, okay? I had this one book with just a bunch of excerpts of random Buddhist literature. I am currently reading the Lotus Sutra, after I had read the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings. And one thing that I appreciate about Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist ideas is the concept of impermanence. And while my personal religious beliefs are not Buddhist, I do see wisdom, I guess you could say, in understanding this concept of impermanence, that everything passes. Well, Buddhists tend to focus on the notion that good things pass, all good things eventually come to an end. Everything that gives you joy will eventually fade into misery and suffering. I actually like looking at it the opposite way. Because yes, good things will eventually end, but so do bad things. Nothing in this world lasts forever. The good times will disappear, but so will the bad times. Just gotta grit your teeth. Again, I wouldn't even say grit your teeth, but just lean into the bad times, I guess you could say. Know that when you are feeling pain, you are feeling anger, you are feeling sadness. That is life. For me, most people know me as a very chill dude, a very relaxed person, very relaxed personality. But what a lot of people don't know is I am a sucker for tragic stories. I love things that can make that rip my heart out of my chest, throw it on the ground, stomp on it a whole bunch, kick some dirt on it, and then set it on fire for good measure. I love those kinds of things. And the reason why I love that is because it makes me feel... I love feeling powerful emotions. I don't know what it is about that. And tragedy especially, sadness and anger. I mean, joy as well. But very few people can get just super powerful joy right. Very few people can get it quite right. But there are instances that can do that. But when you feel those emotions... Give me a second. When you feel those... Oh, hey, one viewer... How's it going? As you can see, the little tag I have on the bottom. Leave a comment, join the conversation. I don't know how far... Oh, hey, Tweaky. I love power, too. But, you know, I love feeling alive. And sad and angry emotions make me feel alive. Now, again, it's bad to wallow in them. You don't want to stew in them, because then bad things start happening and then you really are unhappy. But you know, when you are feeling the melancholy, embrace it, go with it, let it run its course, and then move on. Anyway, next topic is soft power. Give me just a second. Alright, soft power. So, soft power. I remember when I was at Snow College. I don't know if I should say anything about where I've been, in case I get famous one day. Nah, that's not going to happen. So when I was at Snow College, I took a class in international relations. That's what it was. It was a real interesting class, and I actually really enjoyed it. The professor in that class was top-notch. I'm just going to be honest. I absolutely love him. I don't remember his name. I just remember he was a phenomenal teacher. Absolutely phenomenal. But one of the things we talked about is soft power. Now, obviously, the standard power of a country is... Everybody understands that. Usually in military might, measured in military might or economic power. How much influence a country can exert on other countries. Through economic or military or other means. But one thing that a lot of people don't fully realize is the importance of soft power. And I actually am particularly interested in that. As a historian, I'm very interested actually in culture. And how culture affects us. I mean, we take a look at Japan right now. Japan actually used to be one of the most mighty nations militarily, and then during, just before World War II, or during World War II, and then after World War II with the post-war economic miracle. I kind of want to say it in that jingle, but anyway, with the post-war economic miracle, they became the second largest economy in the world, second only to the United States, which has been the number one biggest economic power in the world since World War II at least, maybe even before that. But Soft power, Japan right now is not doing so hot, either militarily or economically. I mean, I guess that's not entirely true. They're probably still pretty high up there as far as the economy goes, but they're not near as important as they used to be. Where they do still have power is in their soft power. Soft power is essentially the ability to influence other countries through culture. And, well, culture, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And Japan's soft power is actually growing a lot. I mean, Exhibit A. Me! And I know we've been over this many, many times. But I plan on being a professor of Japanese history. Why do I want to do that? I think it started when I was a little kid, growing up with Power Rangers and the Tokusentai, and, well, Tokusentai, Power Rangers, anime, video games, all of those things. I get the feeling that so many of my generation, so many people in my generation were influenced in ways they don't even understand by Japanese culture through these mediums. A lot of people like Japanese stuff. I mean, I go to the mall and I see people wandering around with shirts that say Tokyo on them. And I wonder if they actually know what they mean. I'm actually surprised at how much Japanese writing I see on people's clothing. Let's not even get into the kanji that people put on their for tattoos. And you could argue that a lot of this is Chinese, but I know. I mean, you just have to look around at the influence of Japan. Sushi, okay? When you go on dating apps, man, every girl and their dog loves sushi. Okay. And while that's not a super big thing, I mean, it's not like we're being brainwashed by the Japanese conglomerate or whatever. You cannot deny that Japan has exerted a huge influence on the U.S. And not just the U.S., but the world in general. Anime is growing. Look at the movie Your Name. That did extremely well as far as money goes. Now, American reviewers? Hollywood doesn't really take much notice because Hollywood is just kind of stuck up and full of themselves and doesn't know what's good. But, I mean, you look at, Detective Pikachu, there's another one. Like, the number of anime adaptations, anime that are adapted into live-action films has been growing steadily. And is continuing to growing. And now that we've had Detective Pikachu, which was a monetary success, at least I'm pretty sure, no doubt it's going to continue going farther. I do know that there is a live-action adaptation of Your Name, and I don't remember who the name of the person behind it was, but there was a big Hollywood name attached to it. But again, that just goes to show you that soft power is actually growing, and it's hard to gauge the importance of soft power. The Rurouni Kenshin live action, I still haven't seen that. I actually watched some clips of it, and there's also an erased live action. Is there now? Well, the thing is Japan actually likes to make live action versions of a lot of anime, and they're usually not very good. Usually is the key word there. I'll be honest, when I saw little bits and pieces of the Rurouni Kenshin live action adaptation, I don't know if I'd be a fan. Again, I would actually have to watch it before I can decide, but it looks like their movements are too exaggerated. It would work in an animated medium, in a cartoon, but some of the movements and the stances and the things that they do just seemed a little too much for my taste. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The important part is the influence that they're having. And, I mean, you look at all of the nerds who want to move to Japan, and look at all of the horror stories you hear about anime nerds who sign up with an eikaiwa company or an English teaching company and they go to Japan to teach English, and the companies just take full advantage of them, just have their way with these kids who don't actually know anything about what it's like to be in Japan. But the fact that this is a big old business with people who do this all the time, again, were it not for the soft power of Japan, that couldn't be possible. Look at the soft power of, the United States. We have Hollywood. Like, Hollywood. Is there a bigger cultural influence than Hollywood? Maybe. I don't really know. I'm not a sociologist, and I'm not studying some of these things. I'm just a dude ranting about stuff, rambling on a live stream that basically nobody watches. Oh, speaking of, that was another note that I had. So, soft power, right? There's a theory that we talked about in that international relations class that we had. It's called the McDonald's Theory, right? So if you notice, at least until recently, but it may have changed, but if you notice, if two countries each have a McDonald's in them, they have never gone to war with each other. If two countries have McDonald's in them, they will not fight each other. It's an interesting phenomenon, actually. Now, that's not to say that McDonald's itself is stopping war, but there's something about countries that have McDonald's in them and the way they operate that just makes it so that they don't go to war with each other. If you think about the countries that we have gone to war with recently, none of them had McDonald's in them when we went to war. So the question is there. So what is it about countries with McDonald's in them that are preventing them from fighting? It's a soft power. It's again, we don't actually know. I'm not a sociologist, and as far as I can tell, at least the ones that don't have a McDonald's, and again, I'd have to look into it, and maybe it has changed recently, but it's a really interesting observation. And again, I think it has its roots in the fact that liberal democratic countries take away a huge incentive for going to war. Like, it's really hard to get everybody in a liberal democracy, all of the leaders, to agree and to get moving on going to war. Especially when the interests of the people in liberal democracies, they're not really... What are you doing, horse? They're not really served by war. War looks bad, and especially if wars drag on too long, then you lose the support of the people, and then they'll vote you out of office. You know? Especially, and war also is so expensive. When you're a liberal democracy, you're more concerned... the wealth and success of the leaders is oftentimes tied to how well the country is doing economically, and as far as in the market. And going to war costs so much money, and it's a huge drain on resources. And so it kind of just happens to be that liberal democracies usually have a McDonald's because they're into entrepreneurship and they're into capitalism and they're into all of these things. And liberal democracies also are not keen on war because it's just not good for either side. But again, that has nothing... Well, I wouldn't say it has nothing to do with the hard power. But the soft power, you know, the cultural aspects of it. A lot of these countries that have McDonald's aren't particularly keen on going to war either. They're not out for blood. They're not out for change... Well, how do you say? They're usually... Or the vast majority of the population are not religious or political extremists. Although, as we've seen in recent years, everybody is kind of polarizing, so who knows if that's going to change here pretty soon. But, yeah, soft power is really important. And it is a power, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love I love, in Devil May Cry, the character Virgil. Because he's obsessed with power. And his His one famous quote is, "Might controls everything, and without strength you cannot protect anything, let alone yourself." And as far as I'm concerned, power ultimately comes down to physical force. You look at anyone who has power. You look at like a powerful king, okay? Or a powerful dictator, or a powerful congressman, or whatever. And they are powerful only in so much as, ultimately, the military listens to them. Because if you have a citizen, and Catholic Church, well, again, the Catholic Church only has power in so much as it can enforce it. But see, that's where we get into the soft power, because the hard power is, I have the army, you do what I say, or I will either throw you in jail or kill you. Or I will take things from you, whether you like it or not, but, you know, the physical force. But the soft power is like the Catholic Church, is religion, is things like that, where you can convince people. You can get them to do what you want because you convince them to do so, as opposed to forcing them into it. There is a power in words and in, persuasion. And if we're talking about things in a binary sense, men, tend to be much more the physical power. Like, you do what I say or I will make you. Or you do what I say or I will kill you or beat you up or whatever, you know. The physical part of it. Women, however, tend to be a lot better at the soft power. The suggestion, the persuasion, and convincing others to do things and exerting influence and power that way. And as somebody who... I love the idea of power. I love gaining power. I don't really know what I do with it, just for, like, personal protection and whatnot, and just security for myself, but that is a form of power, is persuasion. And that's what soft power is based in. The cultural aspect. Convincing one country, or the people in one country, convincing the people of another country that their way of life is really cool, or is enjoyable, or interesting, or whatever. And not forcing them to partake in it, but just being like, oh yeah, I do this. And then having the other people go, oh, I want to do that too, that looks so awesome. So, soft power is something that I want to be better at. And you could even argue that it's more of a feminine thing, but you know, what's useful is useful. Power is power. Whether it be physical power, and being able to force people to do what you need them to, or being able to physically influence the environment around you, or through persuasion. I mean, it all works for me. What gets the job done gets the job done in the end. Yes, I do. I want to be a better speaker. That's part of the reason why I started this, actually, is because I have all of these ideas, and I want to communicate them somehow. I really love communication. Actually, I might be more interested in the soft power of things than I am in the hard power, simply because I love communication. I love it when people understand each other. I love it when I understand other people, because learning the deeper parts of why people do what they do or how they think about things, I find that fascinating. And then I love it when people understand me, simply because in that way, again, why do I like it when people understand me? Obviously there's a connection, but why do I want the connection? Maybe because I'm a social creature, and my biology is designed to seek out social connections. But you know, if somebody can understand me, then they can help me out better than if they didn't understand me. And vice versa, I can help somebody else out if I understand them better. So, yes, in short, I do want to be a better speaker, but I also want to be a better listener. I just want to be a better person at the end of the day. I want to be physically I want to be physically stronger, mentally smarter, all that good stuff. Be a better communicator. And hopefully I'm getting my ideas across here. You know, when I started this because some of my coworkers actually thought that my ramblings were amusing enough that I could start a talk show type thing. And you know, when hard power only gets you so far on a small scale. I mean, you can't just go beat up people. I mean, if you have enough physical power, if you have enough hard power, you could literally do anything you want. I mean, if I was a Super Saiyan, I literally had the ability to explode the entire planet and was indestructible from every other thing, anything that humanity could throw at me. I could just tell the world, hey, do this or I will blow you up. And what are they going to do? Say no? Okay, well, I'll blow you up. You know, but obviously, for realistic purposes, yeah, it can only get you so far, because if you just go around beating people up, then nobody's going to want to listen to, and then they're going to get bigger and stronger people, probably police, to come and throw you in jail. So it's important to have that soft power, to be able to convince people that your way of thinking is more beneficial, I guess you could say. But yeah, I want both. Because sometimes when the soft power doesn't get the job done, or in a case like, again, in a self-defense situation where the threat of violence is there and your soft power doesn't work and you cannot convince whoever is trying to attack you to not attack you, then you need to be able to defend yourself and others around you with the hard power. I mean, there are two sides of the same coin, and honestly, I feel like you need both. And neither is actually more important than the other. Which, again, would start going into, like, yin-yang, male-female, which I think I'm going to save for another time, because we're already at 31 minutes. Man, I feel like I'm actually just getting warmed up, too. Anyway, so, thanks to Iki, especially. Tuiki is one of my good friends, if any of you guys end up watching this video. Oh my goodness, we have another one! Came at just the wrong time. I was actually just wrapping things up. That's fine. I will share this video because they record the videos on YouTube. And I will share it on my social media in case anybody else wanted to hop in and listen. Anywho, I think I'm going to end it there. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks especially to Tuiki for joining in the conversation, because, like, that's kind of the point of this, is to have a conversation and to have some input that can get my mind going. I feel like I talk better when I'm actually talking to somebody and somebody else is contributing. So, but we're going to end it here. Thank you much, and we'll see y'all later. This one.